He was an influential early socialist thinker and one of the founders of Utopian socialism. He is known for his radical social and moral views, which have become mainstream thinking in modern society. He is recognized for inspiring a whole movement of intentional communities. His name is Charles Fourier. In the early 19th century, a visionary philosopher emerged in France, whose radical ideas would inspire a movement that sought to reshape society. François-Marie Charles Fourier was more than just a philosopher, he was a pioneer of utopian socialism, a thinker who challenged the norms of his time. Fourier's beliefs and proposals were considered radical during his lifetime, but many of his ideas have now become mainstream in modern society. Fourier's social views and moral perspectives were ahead of their time. His influence was not limited to theoretical discussions, it sparked a whole movement of intentional communities around the world. Inspired by Fourier's ideas, these communities sought to create alternative societies based on principles of cooperation, equality, and shared resources. In the United States, several intentional communities were established, including Utopia, Ohio, La Reunion in present-day Texas, and Brook Farm in Massachusetts. These communities aimed to break away from the traditional social structures and experiment with new ways of living and organizing society. Fourier's ideas were not confined to the United States alone. In Guise, France, his influence led to the creation of the Philosophery of Guise, a cooperative community that provided housing, education, and various social services for its members. Fourier's legacy extends beyond the intentional communities he inspired. His radical thoughts and proposals continue to influence revolutionary thinkers and writers to this day. He played a pivotal role in shaping the course of social thought, and his contributions have left an indelible mark on the history of philosophy and social movements. As we delve into the life of Charles Fourier, we will uncover the philosophical concepts that drove his revolutionary ideas and explore the impact he had on society. Join us on this journey to discover the man behind the movement, the visionary philosopher who dared to challenge the status quo and pave the way for a more equitable and cooperative future. Charles Fourier, a visionary thinker and philosopher, was born in Besançon, France in 1772. Despite his father's wishes for him to follow in his footsteps as a businessman, Fourier's true passion lay in architecture and the desire to help humanity. His inheritance, received after his father's death in 1781, provided him with the means to travel throughout Europe and explore his intellectual pursuits. During his travels, Fourier had various job experiences, including working as a correspondence clerk and a traveling salesman. However, he found these occupations unfulfilling and even described them as serving the knavery of merchants and involving deceitful and degrading duties. These experiences shaped his perspective and fueled his desire to create a better society. Feeling disillusioned with the limitations of his work, Fourier turned to writing. In 1808, he published his first book, although it garnered little attention. It was not until 6 years later that his work caught the attention of Monsieur Just Mouiran, who became his patron. Encouraged by this newfound support, Fourier dedicated the next few years to producing his most significant writings, which explored his unique philosophy. However, despite his efforts, Fourier struggled to gain recognition for his ideas. In 1822, he attempted to sell his books once again, only to face disappointment. Despite this setback, Fourier remained dedicated to his vision of a better society and continued to develop his philosophy until his death in Paris in 1837. Charles Fourier, a visionary philosopher, believed that concern and cooperation were the keys to achieving social success. He understood that a society that worked together would experience remarkable improvements in productivity. In his view, workers should be rewarded according to their contributions. Fourier's ideas were not merely theoretical musings, he envisioned practical communities called phalanxes, where this cooperation could thrive. These phalanxes would be organized in unique structures known as phalansteres or grand hotels. These buildings would be four-level apartment complexes, with the wealthiest individuals residing in the uppermost apartments and the poorest occupying the ground-floor residences. Fourier proposed that wealth should be determined by one's occupation, and jobs would be assigned based on the interests and desires of each individual. To incentivize cooperation, Fourier suggested that individuals who performed less desirable tasks would receive higher wages. However, Fourier's ideas were not without controversy. He held a negative view of trade, associating it with Jews, and considered it the source of all evil. As a result, he advocated for Jews to be compelled to engage in farm work within the phalansteries. Towards the end of his life, Fourier even proposed the idea of assisting Jews in returning to Palestine, with the support of the prominent Rothschild family. Some scholars, such as John K. Roth and Richard L. Rubinstein, argue that Fourier's motivations were driven by economic and religious antisemitism rather than the racial antisemitism that would emerge later. While Fourier's ideas may have been contentious, his emphasis on cooperation and fair compensation still holds relevance in our daily lives. By recognizing the importance of working together towards common goals and ensuring that individuals are rewarded based on their contributions, we can create a more harmonious and productive society. Charles Fourier, a visionary philosopher of the 19th century, saw poverty as the root cause of societal disorder. He believed that the prevailing economic system created a stark divide between the haves and the have-nots, leading to widespread suffering and unrest. Fourier's philosophy aimed to eradicate poverty by advocating for higher wages and a decent minimum for those unable to work. In his critique of society, Fourier went even further, expressing a deep disdain for what he called civilization. To him, civilization represented a corrupted order, synonymous with deceit and oppression. He saw the respected thinkers and ideologies of his time as perpetuating this flawed system, and he used the terms philosopher and civilization in a derogatory manner to highlight their shortcomings. Fourier's attack on civilization was unique in its intensity and conviction. Unlike other social critics of his era, he refused to mince words or soften his stance. He believed that true progress and harmony could only be achieved by dismantling the existing societal structures and replacing them with a more egalitarian and just system. While Fourier's ideas may seem radical, they hold relevance even today. In our daily lives, we still witness the effects of poverty and inequality on society. Fourier's philosophy encourages us to question the status quo, to challenge the prevailing notions of progress and success. It reminds us to strive for a society where everyone has access to basic necessities and opportunities, where the well-being of all is prioritized over individual gain. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, Fourier's philosophy serves as a reminder that we have the power to shape our society. By acknowledging and addressing the root causes of inequality and disorder, we can work towards building a more equitable and compassionate civilization.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.